Hello, welcome back to my channel. So this feels really weird. One, for the fact that I haven't worn makeup in a very long time, and two, for the fact that I'm actually sitting down to film a video, like properly, actually sitting down and set up. I say set up very loosely. I'm sat on a piece of soft play furniture, and you are also very precariously balanced on another piece of soft play, a toy, and then a book. So we'll see how this goes. But if you hear any bizarre noises, just remember, I'm sat on something that probably shouldn't be sat on by a grown woman. So, anyways, if you haven't already, grab yourself a beverage. I'm just going to dive on in and tell you what the realities are for me as a SEN parent. So I wanted to film this video for a little while, but I was put off by my own little voice in my head saying that I shouldn't do it and that I shouldn't express some of these feelings. But then another voice in my head, yes, I have numerous ones, said, no, I think it would be useful. I've always been one of those people, like on my channel, where, you know, I like to tell things how it is, and I always kind of strive to put out content that, you know, is either helpful or relatable or just, I don't know, if it makes people feel much less alone. People probably see that as me being quite negative a lot of the time, unfortunately. I think that's just my circumstances make it seem that way, that a lot of kind of what I talk about, be that my own mental health, my family, whatever, it seems quite negative, but we are just a very unfortunate family. I'm gonna put it out there. There's no nothing bad meant by me saying this, but we're just particularly unlucky, and I think we've kind of come to terms with that now. It's little things, like, I can't even explain to you. But if you follow me on Instagram, then you'll probably know there's like numerous things come up or have come up over the last couple of years, like when we moved house, like various illnesses, you know, all of these things where I have just said every time, you cannot write this, like our luck is just so terrible. It's the reason why I never do the lottery. I never enter really any competitions or anything like that, or kind of any giveaways or anything, but because I know I'm just particularly unlucky, so I just never bother. Anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. We are here to talk about being a SEN parent. Now, like I say, this is kind of my own take on it, my own experiences, things like that. Everyone's experience will be completely different because each individual child or, you know, young adult, whatever, has like their own needs. So that then obviously impacts how the person caring for them is affected, if that makes sense. But yeah, like I say, I wanted to come and kind of talk about this because if anyone feels anything like what I'm feeling like, I just don't want them to feel alone. I had a conversation with a friend of mine recently who's in quite a similar situation to myself, has a young child who is currently kind of awaiting assessment, diagnosis, things like that, and some of the things that we've spoken about are so similar, and that's where like this has kind of sparked in me to kind of express the feelings that I've expressed to her out to the wider kind of community, if you like, the social media community, the YouTube community, because we both felt extremely emotional, I think, talking about it, talking about all these things, and just felt like, you know, we couldn't really talk about them out loud. Sometimes in certain people's situations, they don't want to talk about kind of how things are affecting them, how having a child, or, you know, whatever with additional needs, how it affects them, because you could be seen to be, I don't know, but you just never know how the internet's going to take things these days. But I just want to be completely honest with you, and like I say, express my feelings, because they are completely valid. I am allowed to feel the way that I do. And yeah, anyways, let's dive in. So, one of the big things that I kind of felt from the moment we knew my daughter was like different, I felt this sense of loss. Loss in multiple ways. The first being loss of like myself. I had this feeling like for the longest of times that I wanted to be a mum. I wanted to have this perfect little life, as you do envision, and I don't have that. I'm going to be completely honest. I don't have that. I don't have what I pictured, and it's a lot to come to terms with, especially as a neurodivergent person myself who does struggle with their mental health. It's a lot to have to deal with, kind of those feelings when it kind of, like I say, suddenly kind of dawns on you. Not that it suddenly did. We knew from kind of day dot that things were different, but I think there comes a point when you think, oh, okay, when people keep saying things are going to get better, they should have got better by now, and they haven't. So, yeah, a feeling of loss from that respect, and a feeling of loss, almost like grief. And I said to my friend, I feel like people that maybe don't have like a SEND child maybe wouldn't understand this, or maybe have not even thought about it, but it is something that I have thought about. I've spoken to numerous people about it that also have children with additional needs, and they have kind of shared my opinion on this, in that, you know, you kind of go through a bit of a grieving process, and that's not just like a immediate process that, you know, takes a little while to overcome. Like, each kind of stage of their life, you're met with a new piece of grief through something as simple as, like, for me, when I found out my daughter was a girl, I found out while I was pregnant, I had all these like images in my head of things that we were going to do together, like things I was going to do with my little girl. Like, you know, we were going to go to these various places. I was going to sit and do her hair, and we'd, you know, play Sylvanian families together. Like, all of these little things that I'd kind of envisioned, to then think, okay, well, the way she is right now, that's never going to happen. If things continue the way that they do, and she stays the way that she is, that's not going to happen. And that's a very hard thing to have to come to terms with. And like I say, it's not a lot of people, I think about it in that way, and that's fine. Like, you don't have to, but it's the way that I have thought about things. And like I say, it's quite an intense feeling, like grief is in general, but that is kind of what it is. It's grieving what you thought you were going to have. And like I say, kind of as time goes on, things change, behaviours change, like, just everything changes. Like, you don't know. Those things may well be able to do one day. I have no idea. But like I say, I think when you have a SEND child, you have to think in the right now. which is kind of an occurring thing, I think, that's going to go through this video, is thinking about right now. And I think, again, being stuck in that right now is so difficult. Not being able to see into the future, not knowing what's going to happen, not knowing if things are going to get better, things are going to get worse, like, are things going to change for good, for bad, for whatever. Like, you just don't know. And obviously you don't know for typical children either, but I just feel like it's more known or more apparent in, like, SEND children. And like I say, it's just an extremely difficult kind of thought process to kind of come to terms with. As I say, I know I know I don't have to think like this at all. It is just the way that I do think about it. But in my own mind, that's just the best way for me to do so. So I'm going to, continue to do that. I am going to continue to grieve those kind of envisions, and I don't want to say expectations, because obviously I would have never expected anything from her. I would have never expected her to have wanted to play with me and go out with me and let me do her hair or, whatever. But I don't know. I can't explain to you what I'm trying to say. Like I say, that kind of has been a thing that's kind of gone on each kind of milestone. Like my daughter, for example, was late walking. She didn't start walking till not long after her 3rd birthday. And it's one of those things, at the time, I thought it was never going to happen. There were certain things, like her posture and her hypotonia and hypermobility that made me think, like, is she ever going to walk? I don't know. And then once she did, it was just like this just sense of kind of relief almost, but equally like level of anxiety, because another thing that I have experienced is like skill regressions. We've had numerous regressions in kind of physical development, in my daughter's speech, things like that. And it's so difficult to get excited about all these like amazing milestones that happen, like maybe a word that's been said, or, using cutlery for the first time, being able to hold her bottle herself, like all these incredible things that I should have been so excited about, and I just couldn't get excited about them because of previous regressions. And it's just, again, it's just really hard. Everything's just really hard. I'm never going to sugarcoat it. That is the way that it is. And yeah, it kind of brings me to the right now. My daughter is almost 4. She's a couple of months away from turning 4. And in the month she turns 4, we have to apply for her school placement, which, it just blows my mind. Anyway, because, like, how have I got a child that this time next year is going to be in school? What? Like I say, it kind of just blows my mind to even think about it, but there's another level to it where I just feel kind of really stuck and really like, nah. Because we're currently going through the process of getting her EHCP, so that's the story for another day, but we're currently in the process of doing that. So until we've done that, we can't really think about schools too much, but equally we really, really have to, because it's not that far away. It's currently like the end of October as I'm filming this, so January is not that far away. So it is something that we have to think about, but like physically, like my mind can't get around that at the moment. I'm like, right, one step at a time here. So we're going through all that process at the moment. And I think the thing that I'm struggling with the most around this whole like applying for schools and things like that. Like it's a minefield at the best of times, I can imagine, because, you know, like maybe you have a preference, but you have to obviously put like a couple down just in case of like over subscription, or whatever. So I imagine it's quite a headache to kind of parents that are looking to send their child into a mainstream school. But when you have to think about sending your child to a SEND school, like it just adds a whole another level of headache. A level of headache that honestly I don't need. It's a lot. And I think one of the things I'm struggling with the most, and why I've actually taken a bit of a break from social media, well, Instagram, I follow a lot of people naturally that have children the same age as my daughter and that are also in the same process in terms of applying for schools within the next couple of months for next September. And I cannot begin to tell you how difficult it is to see people talking in general about various things, but this, I don't know what it is, but it really just sparks this like pit of my stomach horrible feeling, seeing people talking about applying for schools for their kids. And you know, I've seen multiple people, and this is not aimed at anyone, or, you know, like I'm not talking bad about anybody, but people that just say, oh, you know, I've seen about 10 schools, I'd happily send my child to any of them, like whatever. And just having it as such a reasonably easy task to do, and having, like I say, all these options available to them, but us being on the side of the fence where we don't have many options at all. There's numerous options kind of within the county, but that then would have to mean we'd have to apply for transport, potentially, if it's not the one that is the most local to us. And obviously then have to factor in how that's going to affect my daughter. How is she going to be sitting on a coach for potentially hours on end, either side of a whole school day, like when that's completely new to her as it is. It's just a lot to have to think about. And then, like I say, when you see these people kind of talking so almost like freely, and like I say, then nobody's doing it with intention to be a, but it just, I don't know, when I see it, I just feel like, oh, like, why me? Basically, why me? As I say, I don't want that to come across to people and that think maybe that think I'm ungrateful in any way, because I'm not. I'm grateful to have my daughter, but my God, the challenges that we have faced in the last almost 4 years, and not knowing what ones we're going to face in the future, are just so mentally draining and emotionally draining. I cannot even put it into words. And as I say, when I spoke to my friend about it recently, like, she could totally relate to how I was feeling in a lot of these respects. And I can only hope that if you have stumbled across this video, and you have like a SEND child, I just hope that you don't feel alone. A lot of these feelings, they're not spoken about a lot. And like I say, I know a lot of people just, they don't want to. That's fine. You don't have to talk about it. But I'm quite happy to talk about how I feel, how things are affecting us and stuff like that. So I'm more than happy to be here. making you feel less alone. But no, even if you are feeling some kind of way that I haven't expressed in this video, you're more than likely not alone. It's such a tough world to navigate. Like I say, from getting professionals to take you seriously, be that your GP, your health visitor, like whatever. I've been through it. Going through, you know, waiting for referrals, waiting for assessments, diagnosis, EHCPs. Like I say, the wider, like the future side of things, it's a lot. And you need to give yourself more credit. And I'm telling myself this too. I need to give myself more credit because it is such a difficult process to have to go through, to have to come to terms with. And yeah, there's not much more I can say on it, but know that you, my friend, you're doing a great job. So yeah, I'm gonna love you and leave you for now. I am going to do a update video on my daughter at some point. I'd done a bit of an update when she was around 18 months old, not long after we got her genetic diagnosis, and I figured I might do an update on kind of how she's doing and stuff, because on the flip side of all that negativity, or what seems like negativity, she is doing really well. I'm going to put it out there now, she is doing really well. We, don't get me wrong, like we are facing numerous challenges on a daily basis, but she is just such an amazing little girl. And like I say, I just want to share her with you and share her progress and share everything. So if you do have any questions about anything, but specifically about her, drop them down below and I'll include those in that video. But for now, I'm gonna go and I will see you all very soon. Bye guys.